Well, that's right, Rod. You know, it is that time of year, isn't it, when it's time to turn the air conditioners off and time to turn the furnaces on. And that's the time of year we not only think about changing around our filters on our furnaces, but it's also time we are instructed over and over again, if we have not had our furnace checked out, to, have somebody that you trust come out and check out your furnace. Well, I know the people I would trust. They're with GephardApproved.com. The reason that I trust these guys is because we have investigated them. We've investigated their background. We've investigated them through the state and federal courts in every possible way we can think of investigating them. We know how they treat their customers. We know how they run their business, and that's why I personally trust them, and that's why they're Gephardt approved. Now, I want to invite a consumer on the air with us. Her name is Jerry Newland, and she went to a non-Gephardt approved company. Jerry, good afternoon.
Hi.
What happened to you? You were part of a maintenance club of some sort with this particular heating and air conditioning company.
Yes, we were. And they came out to do the maintenance check on our furnace, and they said everything checked out just fine except that their carbon monoxide reading was way too high. And by law...
Ooh, carbon monoxide. Well,
yeah.
That's a killer. We know that, so that's why that would be mentioned. That's not good. Go ahead.
So they told us that by law they had to shut our furnace off. They shut off the gas, turned the furnace off because it was so high, and had us sign a waiver so that they wouldn't be responsible for it. And they tried to sell us a new furnace, told us that we needed to get a new furnace. They checked ours out and could not find where a leak was or what the specific problem was, but this registered high and tried to tell us that we needed to get a new furnace.
Okay, what'd you do? Yeah, I'm sure it's... how'd that make you feel? You were frightened, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, our furnace is only 6 years old. It's a new furnace, and we've had no problem with it, and so I was quite upset to have to think to buy another new furnace already. And so I told them I wanted the company that installed the furnace for us to come out and check it.
And they did?
And they did, and found no problem.
No problem at all?
No, he said there was no carbon monoxide in the home, and that the furnace was in great shape, and there was no problem.
Oh. Okay, and that's why you called us, because you think you almost got ripped off.
Right,
All
exactly.
Right. I want to invite someone in with us now, part of a Gephardt-approved company, Dan Dearden. He owns Just Right Heating and Cooling. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, you heard Jerry's story.
You know, the sad thing is, Bill, unfortunately, I hear this almost every day.
How do you, if someone says you need a new furnace and you get suspicious, what's the advice?
What's the advice? Well, certainly, hopefully you've done a little research to begin with before you called the company. Naturally, I think you ought to call it Gephardt-approved company.
That's why I exist, because nobody does any such research. We listen to advertising often, and that's how we pick a company. But go ahead.
No, but nowadays there's other ways to check companies out. Now, Better Business Bureau, of course, but the trick there is you can be an A-plus rated company, like this company is,
yes.
A-plus rated company, with a Better Business Bureau. But the difference is you look and you say, okay, well, why are they A-plus? Well, they've already taken care of the 30 or 40 complaints they've had.
Yep.
So a real A-plus company really should have no complaints against them.
So that's why it's so difficult to check out companies, which is why I try to go a little bit farther than that with Gephardt approved. Okay, so what about Jerry's situation? She needs a new furnace, and we call you, and you find at Just Right Heating and Cooling something, either that she does need a new furnace or she doesn't. But how do we know whether or not we need a new furnace?
Well, a qualified company should have at least the equipment like cameras and such that you can actually put our cameras into the heat exchanger.
Yeah, but that wouldn't tell me as a consumer anything.
Yeah,
you could take a picture of something and I would go, okay.
Well, unfortunately, I hate to say this because I hate someone to get a second opinion on one of my technicians, but that's really about the best way to cover yourself is to get a second opinion.
And no two opinions are going to be the same, though, no matter what.
No, but carbon monoxide is carbon monoxide, and anybody with a accurate testing tool should be able to find out if there's carbon monoxide.
But now, first of all, tell us the difference between the air that's in my home and the air that is actually in the combustion chamber, if you will.
Right. Well, all furnaces have what's called a firebox or heat exchanger, or there are many different names for it over the years. But as the fire burns inside the heat exchanger, and that exhaust goes up through the chamber and out the exhaust, while the air from the home goes across the other side of the heat exchanger.
The
and
point
goes
is
into
the
the home.
air from the heat exchanger never touches the air from the house.
Unless there's a gap, a defect of some sort.
I guess the one thing we can say is that getting a second opinion is the only way. Carbon monoxide will always be in the heat exchanger, or in the burn box, if you will, and it will never be in the home, in the air that circulates around the home. Right?
Correct. Yep. Unless there's a gap, and on a 6-year-old furnace, a gap. Yeah. Right.
Very, very unlikely. Well, and I want to tell you something else, Jerry, about Dan. Dan, what did you win? He won a national champion. This guy's more than an HVAC guy. What'd you win?
Well, every year the testing organization that tests heating and air conditioning contractors, called NATE, has
Yep.
a national competition, and
They broke a furnace and said, fix it.
the testing was pretty competitive. There are 7 people invited every year.
Yep.
Out of the 21,000 people that tested, they take the top 7, and then those guys get to compete in a national competition.
So that's one reason why we want to go to a guy like you. Jerry, thanks for bringing this to our attention.
You're welcome.
Dan, thanks for being here and educating us a little bit on. And who better could you get it from than a NATE national champion, huh? What do you think, Rod?